So how should you and your spouse divide your assets and your debts? Well, normally it's going to depend on a couple of things. One, if you two are on speaking terms and you're able to work out an agreement amongst yourselves, or you guys are talking about how you want to divide your property, I would tell you to get it as close to 50% as you can, where you've got your column is 50% of your assets, the other spouse's column is 50% of your assets, because Texas is a community property state, and anything acquired during the marriage is going to be considered half of each of yours equally. So like any, plus or minus column, obviously your assets are going to be adding to your total column, and your debts are going to be subtracting from your total column. So if most people come to me with an agreement, I try not to get in the way of my clients' agreements unless there's just something seriously egregious where I think that they're shorting themselves of what they're legally entitled to under the law. And that is usually, unless my clients just tell me that they simply they just don't care about that particular asset, or it's something that they're compromising with their spouse to keep the peace and just to get things done. But if the court has to divide the assets and the debts, they're going to get it as close to 50-50 as they possibly can, unless there's grounds for divorce, such as cruelty or adultery or other things of that nature, where one spouse would be asking for a disproportionate share or more than 50% of the estate. But again, absent that, the court is going to try to get it as close to 50% as possible, because they try to do it fair and equitable for both parties. So I would say that if you're on speaking terms with your spouse and you're sitting down and you're trying to divide your assets, you just need to decide what's most important to you, whether that's your house, whether that's your cars, whether that's your 401ks, whether that's your dog, anything of that nature. And you need to decide, what you're willing to give up and what you're not. And you and your spouse can work together, assuming that everything is amicable between the two of you, to get it as close to a 50-50 split as possible.